Hello everyone, welcome to today's lecture on energy efficiency strategies for new buildings and existing buildings. My name is Ibdit Kaur Bhatia and I am thrilled to guide you through this exploration of energy efficient buildings. In this lecture on energy efficient buildings, we will cover aspects of and importance of design considerations for different climates. We will also discuss design for climatic zones like hot and dry and composite, warm and humid and moderate climate. We will begin by looking various aspects of energy efficiency in design for different climates. Then we will discuss an overview of design concepts and architectural interventions. Finally, we will see case studies of energy efficient buildings for various zones of residences, office buildings and other buildings in each zone. In this lecture, we will start with the hot and dry climate. Coming to its energy efficiency part, hot, dry, desert and semi-desert climates are categorized as very hot with dry air and dry ground. Daytime air temperature may range between 27 to 49 degree centigrade. But at night falls might reduce to as much as 29 degrees centigrade. Humidity is continuously moderate to low. The low humidity, day air and minimal rainfall dissuade flora and the ground reflects the strong sunlight producing glare. There is no cloud cover to reduce the high intensity of direct solar radiations, and the local winds also carry dust and sand. Precipitation in this type of climate is deficient, ranging from 50 mm to 150 mm annually, since the air is completely hot and dry. In this type of climate, the sky is typically clear and blue. Even so, occasionally dust storms fill the entire sky, producing an unbearable glare. Only thick leaves and thorny plants may easily survive here due to the extremely loose and sandy soil, low humidity and little rainfall. In hot and dry climate, energy efficiency can be achieved by focusing on strategies that minimize cooling needs and optimize resource use. Here are some key approaches for the design of the buildings and the considerations for the hot and dry climate. Number 1, building design and insulation. Under building design and insulation comes orientation and layout. The strategies to cover or consider when designing are as follows: reducing the depth of the structure, lessening the requirement for artificial lighting inside the structure. The construction of the building must be narrow as possible to facilitate cross ventilation. The courtyard or house has long been regarded as the center of the home in the Arab world. There are fruit trees, shade trees and flowers growing. One of the best building design features used here is a water feature, which may also include a covered outdoor sitting area. Coming to the insulation part. In hot, dry climates, insulation plays a crucial role in managing indoor temperatures and reducing energy consumption. Here's how to effectively use insulation in hot, dry climates. Number 1, roof insulation. Under the roof insulation, reflective or cool roofs and radiant barriers. Second, wall insulation. High quality insulation materials, exterior insulation and finish systems EIFS. Third, attic insulation. Under the attic insulation, proper ventilation and insulation types are important. Fourth, floor insulation. Under floor insulation, here we should have a proper flooring material. Windows and door insulation, that is the window films, plays an important role. High performance windows also here is important. Door insulation, that is the weather stripping and insulated doors. Insulation maintenance, regular inspections and address air leak should be checked for the insulation maintenance. Second is the passive cooling techniques. Under the passive cooling techniques comes shading. Shading installed in exterior shading devices like awnings, pergolas or shades to block direct sunlight. Use shade trees and plants to cool surrounding areas. Ventilation. Incorporate natural ventilation strategies such as cross ventilation and stack ventilation to enhance airflow and cool spaces naturally. Third part is the efficient cooling systems, that is the evaporative coolers or the air conditioning. Fourth, energy efficient windows and doors. Window films and tints, high performance windows. Roofing, fifth part, roofing and exterior material. For this, cool roofs and light colored surfaces should be used in the building. Sixth, landscaping. Landscaping also plays an important role. We should use drought resistant plants that require less water and provide natural shade and cooling. Under landscaping, green roofs and walls should also be the part of the landscaping. Now seventh, energy efficient appliances. Use LED or CFL bulbs instead of incandescent bulbs which generate more heat. Choose energy star rated appliances that consume less energy. Eighth, smart home technology. Under the smart home technology, thermostats or home automation. Ninth, external spaces. Now, how the external spaces of the building should be designed. The adjacent building, pavement, roads and ground heat up quickly, causing glare and reflected heat radiation. Hence, it is essential to shade outdoor walls to avoid such effects. Trees, plants and water will cool the air by evaporation, help keep dust away and provide shade, visual and physiological relief. During daytime, the ground surface temperature reaches very high and itself becomes source of heat and reflected radiation. So this needs to be protected. If the adjacent ground surface can be shaded by the walls, this may help. The best external space is courtyard. Cool air pond can be provided in the courtyard. The same courtyard helps to dissipate the heat during night. Now the 10th part, vernacular observations. Traditional shelters have heavy walls of earth, brick, stone and roof of the same material, often with very less use of timber. Thick walls provide good thermal capacity. 11th part, the planning. Outdoor conditions are hostile. It is hard to live in without any special provision to mitigate its harshness. Both the buildings and the external spaces need protections. An enclosed, compactly planned and inward looking building is most suitable. Now coming in the planning part, the large dimensions of the building when oriented along the northwest, these elevations receive low heat loads from the solar radiation. West is the worst orientation as peak intensity coincides in this time and with the highest air temperature, leading to a high heat load. Non-habitable activity rooms like storage, toilets, if planned on the east and west, which provide thermal barriers. The concept of double roof is an effective way to shade the roof. It is a construction of a second roof over the first. Buildings should be placed close to each other, particularly if east and west walls are placed together. Mutual shading will decrease heat gain. By integrating these strategies, you can enhance energy efficiency, reduce cooling costs and maintain a comfortable indoor environment in hot and dry climates. Now coming to the case study part, here is the best case study for hot and dry climate zone. Solar Passive Hostel, University of Jodhpur. Located in Rajasthan, this structure was part of a research project by the Center of Energy Studies at IIT Delhi. Architect Vinod Gupta designed it to provide thermal comfort in the hot and dry climate. Coming to the key features, which include earth insulation. The building partially sinks into the ground utilizing natural earth insulation. Local materials were used like stone masonry walls which help to balance temperature variations. Roof treatment. Roof treatment was done under the feature small inverted terracotta pots to combat summer heat gain. Wind tower. A wind tower connected both floors supplying cool air and aiding ventilation. Now coming to the structure part of the research project undertaken by the Center of Energy Science Studies, IIT Delhi, designed by architect Vinod Gupta, the building was an attempt to test as well as exhibit methods that would provide thermal comfort in the hot and dry climate of Rajasthan. Stone masonry, the local material was used for the walls. The roof was treated with small inverted terracotta pots to combat the summer heat gain. A wind tower that connected both floors supplied cool air to the units and helped aid ventilation by expelling hot air during the evening and night. Now coming to the other part of climate, that is the composite climate. A composite climate displays the characteristics of hot and dry, warm and humid, as well as a cold climate. This makes the design process a rather challenging one for architects. The location in the world that experience a composite climate includes Central India. The Central India part is a composite type of climate. Now what should be the passive design strategies for a composite climate? The first strategy should be the building orientation. The orientation of the building depends on a site's microclimate for regions where the longer prevailing season is the hot dry region. The thermal design criteria recommended for hot dry climates can be applied. According to NZEB recommendations, a rectangular form with a longer axis along the long north-south is the preferred orientation for composite climates. This helps the building structure reduce heat gain in summer and heat loss in winter. Maximize the natural light and ventilation is the main aspect and the design consideration for the composite climate. Other factor is the building form. For composite climates, the building must be compact and low rise. An important criteria that should be kept in mind here is the SV ratio, which is the ratio of area to volume of a built mass. Another important criteria is the PA ratio, which is the perimeter to area ratio. Shading device. A good example of this would be Krushi Bhavan designed by Studio Lotus in the composite climate of Bhubaneswar. The architects use deeply recessed windows and balconies as shading devices to help lower heat gain. The use of hand carved condylite lattice design on the building's facade also help cut off direct sunlight from entering the indoor spaces. Second, natural ventilation. For the composite climates, reasonably large openings on opposite walls are suitable, preferably with solid shutters that may be opened when cross ventilation is important. The orientation of the building is determined by two factors. Number one, to utilize the cooling effects of the breeze prevailing during the warm humid season, to utilize the heat of the sun during the cold season. Central courtyards are also used extensively for composite climates, especially in India. Due to the incidence of solar radiation in a courtyard, the air gets warmer and rises. Cool air from the bottom level of the building flows through the openings of rooms surrounding a courtyard. This helps produce airflow. Today, Angans, a traditional design concepts, are being revived by architects for use in architectural projects. Now third design consideration is the thermal insulation. Designers tune the thermal characteristics of building so that they can maintain habitable internal conditions using the minimum amount of materials. An interesting example would be Vishwasaraya National Institute of Technology, Nagpur, VNIT, Nagpur, Maharashtra, placed in the composite climate zone of India. For the design, the architects choose to keep all walls 230 mm thick, whereas the west and south faced walls are provided with the insulator, that is the expanded polystyrene. Under the thermal insulation part comes two main factors, that is the insulation and the thermal mass, the type of insulation and the type of thermal mass. Fourth is the material selection. Material selection is also important for this type of climate. Under material selection comes durability and local resources. Now the fifth is the landscaping and site design. Under the landscaping, climate appropriate vegetation should be considered. Use drought tolerant plants in arid areas and consider tropical and temperate species based on the specific climate needs. Second, shade and cooling. Incorporate shading elements like pergolas, trees or green roofs to reduce heat gain and provide outdoor comfort. Comfort and health is the sixth part. Under the comfort health, indoor air quality is important, so we should use materials and systems that promote good indoor air quality, including proper ventilation and low emission materials. Humidity control. Address humidity levels appropriately using dehumidifiers or ventilation systems where necessary to provide mold and moisture problems. Number 7th, regulatory and code compliance. Local building codes ensure designs meet local building codes and standards, which may have specific requirements for different climate conditions. Climate responsive regulations. Consider any regional guidelines or incentives related to energy efficiency and sustainability. Now, here is the case study for the composite climate, that is Monamo House, Hyderabad. Monamo House, Hyderabad, the underlying ideology behind the design was to generate minimum environmental impact. Due to the high solar radiation and ambient temperature in the summer, the windows on the west wall were made smaller or replaced with other solutions. The openings are oriented specifically to attain continuous ventilation after careful consideration of pressure differences and wind direction. The open plan allows full movement of air throughout with little to no internal resistance. Evaporative cooling is attained with a system that consists of a water pond and a fan. The structure also reduces energy load whenever possible and reverts to energy renewable resources to attain energy efficiency. Next climate is the warm and humid climate. The warm and humid climate, under the warm humid climate comes the coastal areas in South India. All the coastal areas and the hilly areas in northeast comes under this region. The major cities having this climate are Goa, Mumbai, Visakhapatnam, Kolkata and Chennai. High humidity, strong sun, glare from the sky characterize this climate. There are long monsoon periods with heavy rain, but the breezes, especially in coastal areas, can increase discomfort considerably. Now coming to the characteristics of warm and humid climate. Here the temperature in summer is 30 to 35 degrees centigrade during day and 20 to 30 degrees centigrade at night. In winter, 25 to 30 degrees centigrade during day and 20 to 25 degrees centigrade at night. Here the humidity is very high, ranging from 70 to 90%, which is the only factor for the discomfort under this climate. Precipitation is very high, about 1200 mm per year, or it can be more. Sky conditions, sky is fairly cloudy, cloud cover is 60 to 90%. Now coming to the solar radiation, the intensity of solar radiation is high during the summers and moderate during the winters. Wind velocity is low, calm and periodic, but may be strong during rain squalls. Vegetation, here the vegetation grows very quickly due to frequent rains and it is difficult to control. High humidity accelerates mold and algae growth, rusting and rotting. So, what are the requirements in a hot and dry climate? The basic requirements is that minimization of the high day temperature, avoidance of direct exposure of facades to solar radiation, reduction in the humidity levels, continuous air circulation to reduce heat and relief from stickiness, to create a temperature difference between the inside and outside environments to facilitate evaporation and heat dissipation. Now coming to the design consideration, form and planning. Building will have to be opened up to breezes and orientation to catch whatever air movement there is failure to do with what would produce indoor conditions. Always warmer than a shaded external space, that is, which is open to air in movement. In this type of climate, buildings tend to have open elongated plan shapes with a single row of rooms to allow cross ventilation. Such rooms may be accessible from open verandas or galleries, which also provide shading. Door and window openings are or should be as large as possible, allowing a free passage of air. Groups of building also tend to be spread out. Extended plans in a line cross the prevailing wind direction, afford low resistance to air movement and are therefore the ideal solution. As the openings are far larger than in hot dry climate, the shading devices will be much larger on both counts. Openness and shading will be the dominant characteristics of the building. Now second part, overhanging eaves. Third, open elongated plan, as we can see in the figures, in the shapes with a single row of rooms. Fourth part, thermal comfort. Comfort has been designed as the condition of mind which expresses satisfaction with the environment. Now fifth part, the fenestrations. As we can see in the figure that the fenestration are semi-open spaces for light and air movement, larger windows for ventilation. Sixth, facade articulation. We can see in the figure maximum ventilation and orientation of smaller side of structure along east-west. North-south orientation for maximum air movement is best for the facade articulation. High density of facade, that is open and yet shaded. Faint pale colors on outer surfaces. Building materials with insulating, reflecting properties that resist heat transfer. Seventh, day lighting. Light colored and reflective surfaces can be used on walls and ceilings to reflect natural light into interior spaces, reducing the need for artificial lighting. Skylights are other important option, using specialized glazing to allow natural light in while blocking the unwanted heat. Light shelves can be installed outside windows to reflect natural light inside while shading the windows from direct sunlight during the hottest part of the day. Now windows located high on walls can also allow natural light to enter while reducing heat gain. Lastly, daylight redirection systems can be used to redirect natural light into interior spaces without causing excessive heat gain. Eighth important part is the roofing pattern. Here the roofing pattern is very important, and voids in roof and courtyards provide maximum light and cross ventilation. Houses are tall with large opening to catch breeze. Light colors and reflective surfaces on roofs will deflect solar radiation and keep the building cool. Light materials such as timber are used for construction. Sloping roof is a characteristic of these regions as it drains off rainwater. Barrel vaulted roof can also be seen. Now, dense growth of plantation in the outdoors. There are also different roofing materials which are used for the roofs as shown in the above figure. There are different materials and the roofs can be designed accordingly. Ninth, humidity control. Managing indoor humidity levels is crucial for comfort and mold prevention in humid climates. Using breathable building materials and finishes that can absorb and release moisture naturally helps regulate indoor humidity. Passive warm and humid design strategies such as incorporating dehiscent Materials on earth tubes can effectively control humidity levels without relying solely on energy intensive mechanical systems. 10th point, insulated and ventilated roof. Effective insulation is essential for minimizing heat transfer through the building envelope in warm and humid climates. Insulated roofs, walls and floors help maintain stable indoor temperature by reducing heat gain from external sources. Ventilated roof systems such as roof vents or eaves facilitate airflow beneath the roof surface, allowing hot air to escape and reducing thermal stress on the building structure. Now 11th, green building features. Integrating green building elements like green roofs, living walls and rain gardens contributes to thermal comfort and environmental sustainability in warm and humid climates. Green roofs and walls provide natural ventil insulation, absorb heat and promote evaporative cooling through transpiration and is therefore one of the classic warm and humid design strategies. Rain gardens help manage stormwater runoff while enhancing biodiversity and reducing heat island effect, creating healthier and more resilient built environments. Now the 12th point, sustainable materials. Introducing sustainable materials in buildings located in warm and humid climates can help reduce the environmental impact of construction and lower energy usage. One way to achieve this is by using locally sourced materials like stone or wood, which can reduce the environmental impact of transportation and support the local economy. Another way is to recycle or renewable materials like use bamboo or recycled steel, which can reduce the use of non-renewable resources and lower carbon emissions. The case study for warm and humid climate is the Silent Valley Kalasa Warm and Humid. Designed by architect K. Jaisim, the Silent Valley Resort is an eco-friendly holiday home that consists of several cottages that were constructed with a herbal theme. The resort fuses modern demands and ecological balance by creating a sustainable habitat with a minimum footprint. The cottages adopt circular plans as well as forms which help reduce solar gains from the building envelope and windows. The usage of materials like solid mud blocks, timber and mangrove tiles as well as the position of the cottage, example, partially sunk into the ground further help in aiding energy efficiency. The resort merges with the natural landscape and adopts sustainable measures such as water harvesting, biomass, energy intensive spaces, etc. Second case study is the Nisha Play School, Goa. Nisha's Play School is built on a 800 square meter plot. The flat area was retained as a playground while the main building was built on slope, balancing cut and fill, which we can see in the figure. Concerns of bringing in natural light, westerly breeze and maximizing the use of space were instrumental in determining the eventual form. Wherever you may turn head inside this school, you will find the earthy brick wall and the splashes of bright yellow, ink blue and cherry red. Metal art crafts of butterfly and broken tiles 3D murals on various walls added aesthetic to the space. The sunlight is used the most with grilled open windows and ventilation through yellow circular openings found on the upper level of every side of the building. A library, music room, clinic, computer room, playground and dining area are the other areas which are provided. Coming to the next climate, which is the moderate climate. Passive solar design involves using sunlight without active mechanical systems, whereas active solar heating systems involve the use of mechanical and electronic devices. Regions with moderate climate face moderate rainfall, mild to warm summers and cool to cold winters. While designing for these regions, the passive design should aim to reject solar heat in the summer and collect, store and distribute solar energy in the winter. Major places in India with moderate climate is Bangalore and Pune. There are 6 passive design strategies for moderate climates, which are very important. The first one is the orientation and general building design. Second, Trombe wall. Third, Cachedorian floor, sun space, landscaping and earth shelter. Now, orientation and general building design. The building can be oriented a few degrees to the east to capture sunlight during the daytime. The building can be extended in the east-west axis. The size of the windows should be such that it capture the midday sun in the winter while avoiding the harsh sun in the summer. The windows on the west side can be avoided. Second, Trombe wall. It is a wall that is painted a dark color with glass on the outside and an insulating air gap between the two. The dark wall absorbs the thermal energy from the sunlight and traps it in the air gap by the greenhouse effect. The heat is then conducted through the wall into the building by radiation and convection. The wall is limited to one facade and may not have an effect on the entire building. Now, Cachedorian floor. This passive heating method solves the drawback of Trombe walls, namely uneven heating of living spaces. It consists of a concrete wall with concrete ducts beneath it. Solar heat from south facing windows and sunlight is stored and distributed through the house using ducts. Now, sun space. A sun space uses the method of direct heat and thermal storage. It consists of a glazed collecting space that faces south, attached to the main building via a thick thermal storage wall. Landscaping. Landscaping as a deciduous trees are best suited for temperate regions as they provide shade during summers and shed their leaves allowing the sun to shine through in the winters. Trellis, pergolas with vines can be used for summer shading. Fifth part is the earth shelter. Earth sheltering is achieved by covering walls, roofs or an entire building with earth or soil. For the northern hemisphere, a building facing south with the other sides covered by the earth is the most effective. Now, in this moderate climate case study, the case study is the TERI SRC building Bangalore, which has a moderate climate. The Energy and Resources Institute was designed by the architect Sanjay Mohe. Set in a location with a moderate climate, the design depicts an interplay of the 5 elements of nature, that is the air, water, earth, sky and fire. Fire is the sun, with the built form to attain oral, thermal and visual comfort. The simplest measure taken to tackle the climate conditions was the orientation of the building, which is along the east-west axis. While the building opens up towards the north wall and takes advantage of glare-free sunlight, the south walls allow the breeze to flow over the building. To minimize heat gain from the roof, insulation techniques that consisted of filler, slabs and roof gardens were applied. The fenestrations and integrations of atriums were designed after detailed studies to minimize the usage of artificial lighting in a day. The air chimneys help enhance the convection currents in the building. An efficient rainwater system also helps preserve water, which in turn is used for landscaping as well as in the toilets. Now, the summary of this lecture. We have covered various aspects and importance of design considerations for different climates. We have also learned design for climatic zones like hot and dry and composite climate, warm and humid and moderate, and the energy efficiency in design for different climates. Also, we have seen an overview of design concepts and architectural interventions in the design strategies for the above climates, and case studies of energy and efficient buildings for various zones like residences, office buildings and other buildings. Topics to be covered in the next lecture. Passive energy efficiency system. Under this we will cover principle of passive energy efficiency, strategies for passive design in new buildings, benefits and challenges of passive system. Thank you so much for your kind attention everyone. I hope you have learned some information from this lecture.